Maya found a $0 balance in an account she never opened. The signature matched hers, but she'd never signed a thing. I'm Maya. And for 2 years, I thought I was building a life with someone who loved me. Instead, I was living inside a meticulously constructed cage, locked not with bars, but with passwords, credit reports, and monthly budget spreadsheets he insisted we follow to the cent. We met in Portland, Oregon, in the spring of 2021. His name was Daniel. Tall, calm voice, always wore that same navy blue Patagonia jacket even in summer. He worked in IT security, which at first felt reassuring. I can help you protect your accounts, he'd say, smiling like it was a gift. And I believed him. I'd just come out of a messy breakup and was drowning in student loan payments from my graphic design degree. Stability sounded like salvation. By our 3rd month together, he suggested we open a joint checking account. For shared expenses, he explained. Rent, groceries, utilities, makes sense, right? But then he asked for access to my personal savings. Just so I can monitor for fraud, he said. You know how hackers are these days. I hesitated, but he looked so concerned, so protective. I gave him the login. That was the first thread pulled. Within weeks, everything changed. Not dramatically, just quietly. Insidiously. He started reviewing every transaction I made. A $4 latte? That's $120 a month, do you realize that adds up? A new pair of running shoes after mine split at the sole? You could have repaired those. I stopped buying things altogether. I'd walk past stores with my hands in my pockets, rehearsing excuses before even stepping inside. He installed a shared budgeting app, in-app, You Need a Budget. At first, it felt empowering. But soon, he'd send notifications if I went over by even $2. Maya, you allocated $30 for gas this week. You spent $32.87. Explain. It wasn't about money. It was about control. And I didn't see it, not fully, until the day I tried to buy my niece a birthday gift. She turned 6. I wanted to get her that little telescope she'd been eyeing at the Science Museum store. $45. I checked my personal account, still had $200 left from freelance work I'd done on the side. But when I swiped my card, declined. I called the bank. Ma'am, the rep said gently, your available balance is negative $187. What? I logged in. My account, my personal account, was drained. Transfers to an unknown account I'd never seen. Dates lined up with times Daniel had borrowed my phone to check the weather. That night, I waited until he was asleep. Crept into the home office. Used his laptop while he snored down the hall. And that's when I found it, the account with the $0 balance. Opened 6 months earlier at First National Trust. Joint ownership, Daniel Reyes and Maya Chun. But I'd never been to that branch. Never filled out paperwork. Never signed anything. Except the signature on file? It was eerily close to mine. Same slant, same loop on the Y. But I hadn't done it. My hand shook so badly I almost dropped the mouse. I dug deeper. Pulled up credit reports, mine, not the one he'd shown me months ago. And there it was, 3 credit cards opened in my name. Total debt, $28,400. All maxed out. All payments late. One had gone to collections. I felt sick. Not just betrayed, erased. My financial identity, my credit score, my future, all hijacked without my knowledge. And the worst part? If I confronted him, he'd deny it. Or worse, he'd cut me off completely. No rent money. No grocery allowance. No way to survive. So I made a decision that night, I would leave. But I couldn't do it recklessly. Not with him watching every dollar. I started documenting everything. Every suspicious transaction. Every time he asked for my phone just to text his mom. Every password he subtly pressured me to share. I created a hidden email account, used a library computer downtown, paid in cash for a prepaid USB drive to store screenshots. I even took photos of my mail before he could sort it: bills, bank letters, anything with my name. I reached out to a domestic violence hotline not because he hit me, but because the counselor told me financial abuse is abuse. She connected me with a legal aid nonprofit. They explained that in Oregon, opening accounts or taking on debt in someone's name without consent is identity theft and it's criminal. But proving it? That was harder. Daniel had covered his tracks well. Most transfers were labeled rent contribution or shared expense reimbursement. The forged signature? Banks rarely investigate unless you file a police report. And filing a report meant tipping him off. So I played along. Smiled when he praised me for sticking to the budget. Nodded when he said, "You're learning to be responsible." Inside, I was mapping my escape route like a spy planning extraction. By January 2023, I had enough. I'd saved $1,200 in cash hidden in a hollowed-out book on our shelf. I secured a spot in a transitional housing program for survivors of economic abuse. And I contacted my bank's fraud department with all my evidence. The day I left, it snowed. Rare for Portland. I packed one suitcase, clothes, my passport, the USB drive, the notebook. Left at 6 a.m., while he was in the shower. Took an Uber straight to the bank branch downtown. Met with a fraud investigator named Linda. Showed her everything. She didn't flinch. Just nodded slowly and said, "This happens more than you think." 2 weeks later, the bank froze the fraudulent accounts. Filed affidavits of forgery. Initiated disputes on all 3 credit cards. My credit score was still wrecked, but at least the bleeding had stopped. Daniel called me that same day I left. Voice calm, almost amused. "You forgot your charger," he said. Then, quieter, "You'll be back. You can't survive without me." I didn't answer. Blocked his number. Changed all my passwords. Got a new social security card. It's been 9 months now. I live in a small studio near the Willamette River. Work full-time as a designer again, this time for a company that pays on time and respects boundaries. My credit's still recovering, but I've got a secured credit card. Pay it off every month. Rebuilding, brick by brick. And that account with the $0 balance? The one with my forged signature? Last month, the bank sent me a letter. The case has been referred to the district attorney's financial crimes unit. Daniel hasn't been charged yet. But they're investigating. Sometimes, late at night, I wonder if I should have seen it sooner. The red flags were there, the way he insisted on paying for everything early on, the constant comments about my reckless spending. I once bought concert tickets with my own paycheck, the way he'd sigh when I mentioned wanting to invest in a retirement account on my own. But love blinds you. Especially when it wears the mask of care. If you're watching this and something feels off, maybe your partner demands receipts for every purchase, or insists you hand over paychecks, or gets angry when you try to open your own account, please know, that's not love. That's control. And you don't have to accept it as normal. Financial abuse doesn't leave bruises, but it scars just as deep. It steals your autonomy, your confidence, your ability to imagine a future outside the relationship. I got out. Not because I was brave, but because I finally understood freedom isn't free. Sometimes, it costs everything you have. But it's worth it. Today, I track my own money. Make my own choices. Buy lattes when I want. And that telescope? I bought it last month. Gave it to my niece for no reason at all. Just because I could. If this story resonates with you, please reach out to the National Domestic Violence Hotline. They offer confidential support for financial abuse, too. You're not alone. And your wallet? It belongs to you.